say something, Mike?
Yeah. Yep.
You gonna give a little space? Pause.
I'm good.
Space? What do you mean?
You was like, I'm gonna give a little space.
Oh, yeah. 'Cause I think I
That's a
sound
pause. I'm about to pop that bottle, bro.
Yeah, pop that shit.
We good?
Yeah, we good. We
All right,
recording.
let me we record. Let me pop
Yeah.
that. Hold on a second.
So while you getting that bottle ready, Rose, how you
What up?
feeling? Turn my mic up. This is what, episode 7?
Yeah, go.
There you go. We here.
Yeah.
Bruh. What you think of that Cardi B album?
That's an open question. Look, I just started listening to it today, right?
Yeah, I thought it was good.
I can't knock it. Yo, shout out to Cardi B. She's taking this goofy ass hip hop shit and
Turning
flipping
it
it
on his head, yeah.
She's turning on his head. I can't knock it.
She
We
can
need
actually
more
rap.
women to do that anyway.
Yeah.
Because you know,
and I like the journey. I like how she got in the game.
I mean,
Like she kind of started on, no, she not kind of, she started on IG doing the funny videos. That's how I knew her. Then she did the Love and Hip Hop, got a little buzz, did the Bodak Yellow.
yeah.
The shit blew up.
Her inception of hip hop is similar to Trump. Like, you know, when Trump was first running for office, everybody's like, nah, you can't be serious, man. Like, this, y'all bullshit. You serious?
We serious. And you know,
And
I
then,
don't think, the only reason why I don't think so, because that's happened with a lot of people.
Like who? Who? Man?
I mean, he fell off, but like Trinidad James.
No.
Cheers.
This is different.
yeah.
No, but I'm saying though, people were like, yo, are you serious?
No, the reason why I'm saying that is because Cardi B came from another channel, like Love and Hip Hop,
yeah.
right? So like people knew who she was.
She came from
probably.
reality.
Yeah,
well,
reality TV,
yeah.
correct. So
Nah,
people knew who she
but
was.
you know what? Fuck it. She doing a thing.
Absolutely.
Right.
She took the rules of whatever that game is, and she flipped it. I mean,
It's a new
hip hop
day,
is
it's a
really
new
more
time,
like
yeah.
wrestling anyway.
Yeah.
So
Basically.
it works. It's entertainment.
Yeah.
For some people,
Ain't
it's
no-
a reality.
well, yeah.
But whatever.
For some people, yeah, they really busting their guns.
But this back to the show with this episode. What 7?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Cardi B is about to be my new favorite rapper, by the way.
All right.
Who that?
Oh, word? That's
Cardi
dope.
B.
Yo, so welcome, episode 7, man. We here.
Yeah.
Good. What up?
What up?
Rose,
Brooklyn was good.
AD.
Decatur, where it's greater. ATL, love you, baby, but I'm in Brooklyn. Fuck it.
Yeah,
Let's keep it
yo,
going.
you sound like Lloyd a little bit. Got that.
He's
got
from
that R&B,
ATL.
got that R&B flow. Decatur is greater.
You know.
Tony Stallion here. Episode 7. Ad Bros. Welcome new listeners. Hello to old listeners.
Welcome back, old listeners.
All right.
7 episodes are old, right?
Yeah. Yo, so it's been a crazy week. Couple things in case you missed it. Maya Angelou's birthday. What was it? April 4th?
Yes.
R.I.P. Maya Angelou. Sometimes it's unbelievable that some people have passed. But
Yeah, she died May 28th, 2014.
Yeah, another great woman in history in our life passed.
She's an OG. She's
yeah.
a queen. She's
Queen for sure.
Yeah. She's an OG. You wouldn't
Yeah.
have a Nelson Mandela without Winnie Mandela.
You know,
she
it's
was
crazy
real OG.
because I didn't know the history until I saw that documentary.
The
on
documentary is
Netflix.
great, right?
Beside every great man is a
what he said.
greater woman. You gotta say that.
You
'cause,
gotta say that,
That's
man.
true.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
It's dope.
I feel bad saying this. Not as important, but happy birthday, Pharrell, the GOAT,
Yeah, man.
fashion GOAT. He broke a lot of doors down.
So, quick question. You got to pick one or the other. Pharrell, Kanye. Which way you going?
Pharrell.
Oh, word?
I'm going
You?
Kanye.
I'm
I
going
love
Pharrell.
Pharrell.
Nah,
I'm
I'm
like,
going
yo,
with Pharrell.
Pharrell
Oh,
is
wait,
You gotta
wait,
break this down. You gotta
rewind.
break this down.
Nah.
Are you talking about fashion or are you talking about
Just-
production?
He's talking about
All-
for culture,
For
everything.
the culture.
Pharrell.
Yeah.
Because Pharrell influenced Kanye, I feel.
He did.
He did.
He
Yeah,
did.
he did.
However,
But you know, it's crazy. Tribe influenced both of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so,
they
I
look-
told
but-
you
but-
that.
Then
but-
we could
but
go
he-
into De
but
La
they-
Soul.
but
Like,
they
we
look
could
it
go.
up
We
to
could
I
them.
go
love
there,
De La,
you know what I'm
but
saying?
look, Tribe is.
Tribe
I say
is-
that
are the
last
goats.
couple of
Yeah.
podcasts. They're my favorite of all time. Period. I mean, look, Pharrell has consistently been outputting with fashion,
Exactly.
music, design, philanthropy,
Right.
all that. But I guess me being a creative and how vocal sometimes Ye can be, I do like that.
No, I respect that. That's
And
why.
I totally respect it. And he's one of the dudes in hip hop who's actually pushing hip hop beyond hip hop. So
Yeah, for sure.
I just gotta give Ye a little bit love more so than Pharrell.
Yeah.
I'm going with Pharrell because no one ever really dies like
Oh my
NERD.
Oh,
Like, yo, that first album
Yeah, it's a
changed
banger.
my perspective on music. Like, they really came from being with Teddy Riley, doing Rump Shaker,
Right.
to producing all these like hot hip hop songs, Noriega,
Yeah.
you name these artists.
You
whatever.
know-
and then they turned around and did a rock album that was
crazy.
super
Yeah.
successful. And then if you're talking about like fashion, you're talking about
Yeah.
Bathing Ape. Like, people wouldn't know who Bathing Ape is
True.
in America prior to Pharrell's relationship with Nigo, because like that was my first introduction.
Nigo
to
the
it.
GOAT.
Yo, what's the SWV track?
Right here.
Right
They're
here.
using
they use Michael Jackson's Human Nature, but Pharrell and I think the Neptunes.
And
produced
De La
that
Soul
joint.
used that before
Yeah.
they did with
Yeah.
Break It
Oh
Down.
shit.
I love
Yeah,
De La
I'm-
Soul.
I'm-
MLK's final speech and his assassination happened this week as well. Based on a
Oh.
documentary, I feel like
Based
Bro,
off what
he was nonviolent. Like, he didn't want to do the Black Power.
He was
We'll get into that.
nonviolent
But he
when
didn't
it-
want to do the whole Black Power shit.
that's not true. He was
That's
more
not true.
nonviolent when it comes down to like the actual
Protest?
protesting.
Yeah.
Right.
But when it comes down to actually speaking out and speaking for black people first, and then he brought in his whole message to human rights, he was always actually he was on a progressive side of that. He was a radical.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't know. He may not carry the gun at a protest, but he had a gun at the house.
I mean, he lived in the South.
He lived in the South. So he wasn't like no punk motherfucker.
He was a
Yeah.
revolutionary,
revolutionary.
thinker.
I
Very
found it
historical.
amazing in a guy who preached nonviolence
Right.
died in a very violent way, right?
Yeah, it's
Which
crazy.
is amazing that now that the only thing we hear about Martin Luther King is the fact that he was nonviolent. We don't hear anything about him calling America around economic opportunities, this notion of like human rights, definitely rights around how African Americans specifically is a group that was not an immigrant, and we was brought here against our own free will.
Right.
And once they allowed us to become quote unquote citizens, we was never given the tools to actually like move up, right? While other groups, even to this day, are still receiving government subsidies to actually
Right.
be great, and we haven't
Yeah.
received none of that. MLK talked about all that shit,
Yeah.
and all his messaging has been purely diluted about a goddamn speech of "I have a dream."
Word.
And it's funny that particular speech, the first 10 minutes of that speech was calling on America around like this check that's that's bouncing essentially around it's not being fair, and it's writing checks that it can't cash, especially around civil
Yeah.
rights. So that's my problem.
Now, you said
with-
something really interesting.
What's that?
I can't remember who said it exactly. I think it was in a documentary, but like, you said something really interesting where other groups and other people, when they're getting government help, they call it a subsidy,
Yeah,
versus when black people get it, they call it welfare. But it's all the same shit.
it's all the same
America
shit.
loves welfare though.
But
No,
the
but I'm
biggest-
saying though, it's
No, I know.
it's the way they
It's
they
the
market it, or the way
optics and the
the
market, yeah.
optics is like welfare. You're
Right.
poor, you can't pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you can't do shit for yourself.
But here's the funny thing about the term welfare. African Americans are only 13% of the population.
Right.
So technically, we're still not the highest recipient of welfare or government assistance.
That's true. Numbers don't lie.
Nah, I don't.
But it's
Google
all,
it.
like you said, it's the optics. It's like how it looks,
Yeah.
how it looks in the news, how it looks out there in the world. It's just like they want it, people want it to look like we
Like we
need
ain't
that
shit.
help. But when you have real estate agencies not giving loans to African American
It's called
families,
redlining. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, of course you need help because you're not getting the same opportunities everybody's getting.
Dude, you wouldn't even have the suburbs post World War II without the government giving that money to GIs and other people who are non-black to go out and create the suburbs. I mean, even the interstate highway is a project that was created by the government to help connect the suburbs
Right.
and the rest of the United States, for that matter, with each other.
And the same dude who created the interstate highway created the projects.
Yeah.
Without the projects, there's a lot of things like hip hop and a lot of stuff we wouldn't have.
Yeah.
So like, you helped us make culture in a weird way.
And then,
It's fucked up. But,
all creativity, I mean, it comes from an imagination.
and it comes from
If
pain.
you think about hip hop,
I think a lot of creativity
comes from pain as well. But if you think about hip hop, like that was created to bring people together in the neighborhood.
Well, if you're talking about who created the interstate highway, you can give it to Dwight Eisenhower.
But
Right.
But I mean, with a lot of bad situations comes good situations. Because like, I know we kind of jumping around a bit, but when you look at MLK's assassination, that helped and moved the Black Panther movement forward a lot more.
I mean,
and then not to jump around, but people could do their own research. But I forget the guy's name, but there was a gentleman in the Black Panther Party who was killed.
Fred Hampton?
Yeah, the young kid.
Yeah, he was 21.
And then
99 bullets?
and then that was the first time people really saw a teen, a young. Nah, I think it was someone younger.
Newton?
There was someone I can't remember his name, but it was like a 17-year-old or 18-year-old, and he was killed. And it was like the first time people saw young men. I gotta look it up.
Well, I mean, the Panther Party really started as a voting party in Alabama, and the Panthers, or Huey P. and Bobby Seale took that same group and what they stood for out of Alabama and created the Black Panther Party out in Oakland, right? And technically, the assassination of Malcolm X on top of Martin Luther King really gave a birth to that party.
It was Bobby Hutton.
Bobby Hutton, right?
Yeah, it's crazy in a weird way when some people are assassinated. How they kind of push a movement forward.
Right.
Yeah, man.
But
yo, just like real quick, like just bringing this back to Martin Luther King. While you guys on iTunes and you downloading the Cardi B album, make sure you check out Speeches by Martin Luther King.
that's dope.
The Ultimate Collection. It has like.
Is it on Spotify too, or just? Actually, don't go to Spotify. Stay on Apple.
Yeah, it's on Apple. It's
Cut
like
the
a
check.
bunch of his speeches. You could check them out, and you can really do the math on it and figure out like what he's really about versus like what they teach you in school. Because like at the end of the day, Martin Luther King was a revolutionary thinker.
He's a multifaceted man.
Unfortunately, he's been just remembered as a dreamer for the "I Have a Dream" speech, which was given like 4 or 5 years before he actually was assassinated. Because like in his final years,
he was unpopular.
I mean, the Memphis speech was a good one too.
Yo, he predicted his own death in that speech.
Yeah, I mean, and if you take it back, like 1967, he did the Beyond Vietnam, Time to Break the Silence speech. And that speech, like, he talked about how, like,
they didn't
America,
want him to do that, right?
Huh?
They didn't want him to do that speech.
Nobody wanted. They didn't want anybody
I think he did
because
it in Harlem.
they didn't want him to. They wanted him to just
war.
focus on black people, black issues.
And
but
the moment
he
took
wanted to
our
jump into other
issues,
shit.
I mean, a worldly issue,
Exactly.
and started talking about the war, that's a problem.
And then, if you think about the Vietnam War, like, it was based on some bullshit, right? So they didn't want to spread communism, I believe, from North Vietnam to South Vietnam.
Exactly.
So, like, they wanted to interfere. And Martin Luther King's whole perspective on it was saying, like, America wouldn't invest to support the rehabilitation of poor people, like white or black. And, at the same time, but they want to stop this. They want to stop, like, this communist war from North Vietnam to South Vietnam.
So is it almost like you could say King was killed for being an influence?
Yeah, exactly. Yo, he just talked about in America, we couldn't even figure out the problem to get black kids and white kids to sit in the same school, but we send them thousands and thousands of miles away to fight a war, and at the same time watch them die.
Right, that's crazy.
So it's all,
and then
he
a
called
lot of
them out
soldiers
on
were
it.
coming back, doped up.
Yeah, if you think about why he died, like around that time. Like, he gave these powerful speeches, and they called the speech angry, but he was talking that real shit.
It's always
and
angry when we
exactly.
That real shit.
God,
but no soft talk
brother.
when it comes to telling the truth. So that's what it is.
We gotta get that in every episode.
Absolutely. Oh,
His last few months, he was really trying to just bring people together.
yeah, but
Yeah,
ministers betrayed him. Like,
But he also knew that it's only so much and so long you can ask any group of people to be nonviolent when somebody's continuously killing you.
Yeah.
He knew
Pac
that.
said something like that.
Yeah. It's only so long you can tell somebody to not defend themselves, bro.
Yeah.
And I think as, his later years, he got a little unpopular, especially with the youth. Because the youth is always the one who changes everything. And the youth, just like what's going on right now with gun issues, it's the youth that's changing the conversation. It's the same thing back then. It was the youth that's changing that conversation. He was a youth at some point, and then he became an OG, right?
Yeah.
But the youth at the point was like,
I mean, I think that's why that's important.
We good.
Like as you become older, you need to make sure you have younger people around you.
100%.
To kind of keep the message moving.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how true it was, but like in the documentary, it was saying like he never wanted to take sides in the Black Power thing, and because he didn't want to promote just black.
That's not true. I don't know who made that documentary.
I don't know. I might be misquoting it.
Go look at some of his old speeches. He talked about our issues.
Yeah, he did.
But when he started expanding our issues to more human rights, that's when you're a threat, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, Malcolm did the same thing. When he went from doing things with the nation to like want to call out like the injustice of what's going on here in America at that time in front of the UN, that's a problem. He went to Africa, he went to the Middle East, started trying to unite all those guys through this. And, with that issue around, like, real human rights, he became a bigger threat.
Yeah, man. That's crazy. Yeah.
Hey, look, I'm from Atlanta. I'm not going to call out who this person is, but I had a family member at the time when he was, a young lad, didn't even know what city Martin Luther King was born in. Mind you, he's from Atlanta. Wow. My cousin. So
I actually visited a MLK house when I was out in Atlanta.
So I'm
that was very I don't know. That was very I don't know.
It's moving.
It's very touching. There's a certain vibe when you get out there.
But I mean, you'd be surprised how many kids who's even from Atlanta don't even realize that Martin Luther King is from Atlanta.
Yeah, that's
straight
true.
up. So if they don't even realize like he's from their hometown, they might not even gonna go deep into who he really is.
So I just remember the point I wanted to say before when you were talking about Vietnam War. I just think it's interesting when the U.S. gets into wars because I remember when I was in college, I was taking this historical class, and George Washington and a lot of the original presidents originally said they did not want, as like they established America, they didn't want to get into like foreign issues and like foreign wars. Like they were kind of wanted to just focus on America and building America up.
Isolation point of view.
Yeah, I just thought it was just funny because like we've literally done the opposite in every war. I mean, sometimes you got to jump in because it's you never know if it's gonna come to America. But like we kind of had we were sending soldiers and people over there for what, like you said,
to die.
Basically.
And watch it on TV comfortably in the house. Well, it's just
war's about money.
It's all about money.
So, all right, AD, just to talk about your point, it was in the documentary, but I was looking for an article about it. But basically, the point that they said in the documentary and what it says in the article is that MLK wasn't against Black Power, but he didn't like the mantra because he felt like it was separating people. Because like people would be like, all right, white power, and then people would be like Black Power, and people would be like Polish power. So that's what he didn't like. Yeah, he never wanted to claim it.
It felt polarized.
Because it felt like
polarized, and I get it.
You're dividing people, and I think at that point he was trying to bring people together. That's what
I think
it wasn't. It wasn't that he was against the Black Power mantra. He was against
the mantra of saying Black Power.
He was against, for humanity.
Yeah, he was against what it represented.
The person who came up with the mantra of Black Power was Stokely Carmichael, aka Kwame Ture, who was like who looked at Martin Luther King as his mentor.
Right.
And he helped start a SNCC and all that stuff, right? But, like, again, it goes back to the youth at the time. Stokely started out with Martin Luther King with the whole nonviolence thing. It's only so long. You can ask a person, especially a young person, that you should go this route, the nonviolent, at the same time they're killing you in the street.
Because when you're young, you got more energy. You like, yo, wow.
And you're more impatient.
He went and sat down with Elijah Muhammad.
And he did.
for me, that's showing you what he about.
He wanted to unite with the total freedom movement.
Yeah.
Right.
And
it was the workers' movement too, right?
The what movement?
Was it the workers' movement?
Well, that was the workers' movement around the sanitation guys down in
Yeah.
Memphis. But he wanted to unite that movement with the total black freedom movement.
And with the poor people.
The poor people's movement. And that went well beyond just black people. That was anybody.
I heard that's picking up speed now, like the poor people's movement. I don't know who's pushing it forward, but I heard that. Not that I heard. I'm not chatting patty, but I like saw in the news, like people are starting to like.
But when you talk about poor, you talk about economics. You talk about money.
Yeah.
And the moment you talk about money in this country, or for any country for that matter, you got a problem.
Exactly.
You out of here.
Yeah, yo, we got deep on that.
Hey, life.
But to your point, MLK's legacy. Do we think it's relevant to today's generation?
Yeah, I think it's relevant to today's generation. Like, as you know, to some degree, like they're still talking about it in school. But like at the same time, young people have to use the rhetoric that they're being taught in school and do like more more homework on it. Like, because what they're gonna teach you in school, that's just about the dreamer.
Yeah, it's the top level.
But like we have all the technology needed. Like, we don't even fucking look through encyclopedias anymore. Everything is right at our hands. We can go Google stuff. I'm the plug for giving you the Martin Luther King speeches on iTunes. You could thank me later. But, understand what he was about, and then they can use that as like a foundation for like the movements moving forward.
It's a blueprint.
It's a blueprint
for movements other movements.
I do agree with Rose on that, man, because he's relevant, but we got to dive deeper. If we're waiting for schools,
we can't wait
to tell you about your history, you're crazy. You're crazy.
You're waiting all day.
And for the most, I don't know if I want the school to tell me about everything about King, because they tell you some bullshit anyway. The schools would tell you that Christopher Columbus discovered a part of the earth that had been here for millions of years prior to him.
I think they actually took that out.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
But they used to teach me that.
They used to teach that.
They used to say that Christopher
So
Columbus.
I'm just saying, you really got to dive deep, man. And the only way you're going to make anything relevant or contextual, you have to do this shit for yourself. If you wait for somebody else to do this for you, they're going to tell your story, and they're going to tell
it to you how they want to tell it.
How they want it to fit.
You know what's interesting about that point?
Yeah. You know what, dog? I actually prefer the public system not to even teach black history.
Yeah,
we need to teach that shit ourselves.
I think we're.
I agree.
I still like for it to be acknowledged.
Because they ain't teaching real black history anyway.
You know why I agree? I super agree on that because, like, growing up,
I grew up in my house the same way. Like,
when I grew up, I went to school with a whole bunch of different ethnicities and everything, and I used to be like, "Yo, why don't we learn about Jewish history? Why don't we learn about Latino history?
Right.
Why don't we learn about Asian?" Yeah, I'm just saying, when you do global history, you do Genghis Khan, top level shit, all the Roman Empire, and then America. But I think also too, do younger minorities care or don't care?
About
I
what?
think
Do they care about what?
I don't think they.
I don't think,
like you said, they got to do their research. I don't think
right.
they
I
know.
don't think that they don't care. Right. Exactly.
No.
And
they don't know how does that. How is it relevant to me right now?
I mean, I guess I think a lot of younger people are focusing on newer issues. So it's like, I don't know. Do they care about what happened 50 years? They should.
It should.
Because history
but
repeats
if you
itself.
don't contextualize it, they won't.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I mean, the strive for any generation is what? Advancement to economic sustainability, right? Other words, finding a job.
And the thing about that, a lot of minority kids, black people, like they're in the same situation that they was in 1964.
Can't find a job.
So that's why it's relevant and that's why it's important.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the fight is slightly different because he's made it easier. His fight,
it's different players.
Exactly.
Same
it's different
rules.
fights. We don't live in a society anymore where it's like segregated. So, we have more access to things. Other thing that's really, and you said something that, I don't know, it made some connect with me is the fact that, Martin Luther King Jr.'s his nonviolence approach it's very important, and like that's why another reason why I feel like young people should take that approach is because, police, they only serve and protect in the interest of businesses, not people.
True.
You're not a business, so we could bust a cap in your ass and get off.
Right.
It's true.
So, but
And
if you don't
also,
know
too,
that, and if you sitting in the camera phone telling people, "Oh, my rights," to what? Because they serve and protect the interests of businesses.
That's true.
Martin
the
Luther
idea-
King understood that.
The idea of securities and finances is truly about defending the money. A bank was created with the idea that I could put my money here and I can withdraw it somewhere else,
Right.
and it's fully secure.
And they only care about certain businesses because they will let you riot in your neighborhood
and tear your
and
shit
fuck
up.
your shit up.
Right.
But you ain't expanding past this block.
Nah.
I
Do
think,
that shit if you want.
I think once a lot of younger people understand that concept,
Business.
just the reality, okay, they'll kill me, but they're going to protect this bank.
Right. Once you understand, I think once these kids realize, all right, I'm marching against guns, not the only way, but one of the major ways you're going to change that is if you start affecting business.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the NRA has, don't quote me on this, but the NRA has their wallet in a lot of businesses. And that's why a lot of people won't push for reform.
Yo,
Well, they have
won't
they have the
change.
wallets involved with the politicians.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They fuel in a lot of money to the politicians.
exactly.
And,
And politicians need money to
But the
campaign
politicians
and all
need
that
that
shit.
vote.
They
And the
need the
biggest
vote.
voting block right now, millennials.
the
Huge.
biggest, and then protecting,
That's why this
They're bigger
upcoming.
than the-
That's why
the
this
boomers.
upcoming.
and protecting the amendment.
And that's why this
Yeah.
upcoming midterm election is so important. I mean, like, not to get into voting, but it's just you gotta realize the midterm elections. I think are the major ones because that's where you can.
more important
That's where you
than
can make
presidential
switches.
election.
That's where the tide can switch
Yeah.
different to a different party.
The 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not pushing a specific party, but I'm just saying if you want change, I think this is where you
No,
need
it's
to,
true.
need
Yo,
to
Tony,
make it move.
You know what's so crazy? Like every time we be in the chat and we talk about all these different groups. I'm not even gonna yell them out, but they're protesting, they're doing all this stuff, and I always say, how can you take that approach and like you protesting and you yelling in cameras and you telling the police, you going to the police saying like my rights, protect my rights, blah blah blah,
Right.
but then you worry about Christmas and you worry about getting your kids shit on Easter. So
People focus on the wrong shit.
Yeah, exactly.
The
You
power
have
structure.
you have to not add those dollars
Yeah.
to those businesses.
Yeah,
Fuck
that-
Christmas. We keeping that in there.
We keeping that in there.
Fuck them.
At the end of the day,
Apples.
but at the end of the day, I think the point I was trying to say is these movements kind of come and go. It's like how do you keep the impact going? How do you keep the conversation moving? And some people focus on the wrong things. Some people protesting celebrating Easter. What are you celebrating a fucking bunny and the day
No,
Jesus rose from the dead?
I'll break it down for you.
And
Bro,
and
no,
you doing
no.
an egg hunt,
See, you know
and
what
you
the
going to
problem is?
church.
No, you know
it's
what
like
the
what the
problem
fuck
is?
you doing,
You know
bro?
what the problem is? The problem that you have is you thinking too logical.
And it's Passover.
You're
Shouts
thinking
to
too
the-
logical.
Shouts to
Because at the end of the day,
My
it's
Jewish
like
homies out
so it's spring break. So now it's an opportunity for your kids to get new clothes, new Jordan. Yo,
spend money.
you spending money.
Yeah. Like 4th of July.
4th of July. That's why.
that
What's
4th of
that
July
football
outfit?
player?
I only
Yo, what's
like
that
4th of
football-
July for the food.
No,
But
no,
I
no,
don't
no, no.
celebrate.
No,
Yo.
in the South, you was getting fresh
Yeah.
for the 4th of July.
word?
Mind you, black people was not free when America was getting his independence. I'm just saying.
People
But-
get fresh for 4th of
Oh,
July.
hell yeah. What? Yo,
I don't-
that 4th
Yo,
of July
there's always a
outfit
new
was
pair of
real.
Air Maxes that come out every holiday.
Oh, man.
And Nike capitalizes on holidays better than any other company,
They
aside
do.
from like Black Friday when you get a bunch of big screen TVs and
They really
all that
do.
other fly jiggy shit.
I mean, every holiday over here is about...
Yo, taxes is about to be the new Black Friday.
Yo,
Yeah.
you know what's
Taxi.
so weird?
No, you know it was crazy. I was doing my taxes the other day.
It's Christmas part 2.
And then he was like, "Yeah, it's like Black Friday.
It's
because people get him they refund.
Yo, I'm about to take this shit
I was like,
somewhere
"Yo, that's
else,
crazy.
man.
How you do your taxes? You get a refund and you just blowing that shit
It's crazy. Yo,
on something that's not educational."
You know what? I'm about to
Like
take
a
it
trip or
somewhere
something.
else. But like, black people, they're talking about like reparations and all that shit. Yeah, that shit is fly. But you know what would be dope? If we didn't have to pay taxes.
I like that, actually.
Don't give me reparations.
Let me not
that
pay
shit is
taxes.
over. Just don't let me pay taxes and
for XYZ years.
Exactly, for X amount of years. And
like
make
that.
sure like those dollars, or just make sure like that if I am paying taxes, that it's a collective of whatever neighborhood I live in, and people that we all have a same common interest, that we all agree on this one thing that needs to come to the neighborhood, and those dollars goes to that.
Exactly.
Like,
shit just pops up in the neighborhood. You never vote on what goes there. That should just be there. And if you think about too, just to wrap up that MLK thing, most of our parents were kid. Like, it's not like it's that long ago
My mom was 22.
where you can't imagine that happening.
My mom was 22.
I think my pops was in his teens around that time.
Oh, really?
It's just crazy. It's like it's not that long ago that we were
man.
fighting for this, and that we're still not we as black, but there's still issues in America. We're still fighting on other shit. People gotta, streets gotta eat.
Streets gotta eat, and I don't want to pay taxes.
I respect that.
Keep the reparations. I don't want it. Just don't let me pay taxes moving forward. And make
10
sure
years, right?
Give me
not
opportunity.
longer than that. We and make sure my kids ain't gotta pay taxes.
That's how you even the playing
longer
field.
than
That's how you. That's good enough for
You
me.
can build generational wealth that way.
Yeah.
Potentially.
They ain't gonna let that happen.
We figured it out on this pod.
On this pod, yeah. So that brings me to our segment.
Do we care? Should we care?
I love this.
Do
I
we
love
care?
this. I
Do
love
we
this.
care?
Yeah.
All right. First one.
Go.
U.S. Census asks citizenship status in upcoming census. This is something they haven't done, according to NPR when I was listening. This is something they haven't done since the 1950s.
I say we care, and
Yeah,
I'm
we should.
thinking why is because I know
it's nationalism.
right. The thing about that is, I would think that that's coming from the Trump administration.
Of course.
Right? So
America first kind of thing.
yeah, but if you think about the idea of the census, right?
It's to track us down.
It's to track us. So if we're telling, people who are being tracked that these people are not submitting documentation and they're not being counted, certain neighborhoods and certain communities won't get funding.
Yep.
Certain neighborhoods, when it's time for that street light to go out, certain neighborhoods and certain communities won't get that kind of credit per se, or other communities be chosen before that community because it's not. If you look at the amount of people in that neighborhood, which is not really being counted.
Right.
If you talk about the electoral college, right? Like, New York, we have, I don't know, we like 29 points, and California's like 34 points electoral college.
Right.
But that's based off population,
Yeah,
right?
it's true.
Yeah.
So you're not including certain people for a reason. And these are actual people who actually live in these areas. And on that too, I heard New York and California is actually suing
That's
because of that.
Right.
So I say
we should care.
people should care. People should care. Yeah.
Electoral college is goofy.
It is goofy, but if you think about it, the way that they understanding it is like,
It's bullshit.
It's bullshit,
One man,
but
one vote, in my opinion.
they try to make it make sense, but it's
Yeah.
all BS. And we need to get those points up. And I vote too. And if you don't vote as an American,
You're trash.
come on, you trash.
I've never voted.
I don't even know if I want to have a conversation with you.
I'm just being honest.
We got to talk about this next because,
Damn, Sean, you're trash, brother.
yeah, we gotta.
I'm just being honest
there's
for the
people-
people, like,
I-
because I know there's people out there
appreciate
who
it.
have never
I appreciate
voted
it, but
or don't vote.
I appreciate it, but there's people, 3/5 human. Sacrifice, die for that, and even if you believe it or not, when you don't vote,
Vote for yourself. Fuck it.
you vote for yourself.
That's
but
true.
when you don't vote, and you don't even have to vote for the big elections, but do the small shit.
Yeah.
Because again, when the people don't vote, and that street light that goes off on your block, they're gonna look at the people who didn't vote and say, these people don't care. We're gonna go over there where the people
That
care
is true.
who pay more taxes, which I said earlier that I'm trying to get us removed away from.
Oh, you work on a personal campaign.
Oh yeah, we're doing that.
We don't vote.
Nah, I
can't serve on the jury.
I do want to say I need to do more research into voting. My issue, that's another podcast. We could talk about that.
What's the next one, bro?
Yeah,
next one? To do with voting, partisan gerrymandering Supreme Court case in Maryland. So just real quick, partisan gerrymandering is basically when districts draw legislative lines. There are district lines drawn to maximize or push the amount of power that a Republican has or that a Democrat has. So basically, these lines are made up.
Yeah,
you just put them on a map and you draw them.
Yeah,
there's a Supreme Court case.
You can move them around according to what you're trying to.
And right now, there's a Supreme Court case against that. Should we care?
I think we should care, but I think a lot of people just don't understand what gerrymandering even means, right? So it's kind of hard for people to care about something they truly just don't understand. Right. And I can get it.
Especially if you're in a place where, like in New York, where it's mostly Democratic. So for us, we might not care.
Most of that stuff don't matter until you have close elections.
That's true.
The whole notion of gerrymandering is if an election is very close, you're trying to tip it a certain direction according to an interest. And I can understand certain people who don't give a fuck about voting because it goes deeper than voting becomes very complex because of stuff like gerrymandering, and it's one of those things that if you don't understand what it is, it's very confusing.
Exactly.
So
and they come up with terms and stuff so that people can be misdirected. I think sometimes.
I think we should care, but we gotta understand that it's kind of hard to ask somebody to truly care if they don't understand what it is.
Right. Sinclair Broadcast Group. Should we care about them?
Well, you can care and not care about them, but...
Do we need to explain what they are?
But, they're a conservative media company. And at the end of the day, they're no different than, when BET was independent or not independent or with TV One or with Fox. They have a special interest, and most of the people they're talking to are conservatives. I know Trump at one point in time was trying to create a network with these guys or whatever. And they
right.
Look,
and they also Google Sinclair Broadcast Group,
yeah,
and you will see what they recently did.
You see
exactly, but it's a bunch of local news stations,
which where I think all the money is.
Which is super important,
yeah,
because a lot of people look at national and global,
but it's about the local stuff.
But a lot of local shit,
and
really
they feed a lot of
street
bullshit.
Lights.
Yeah, there you go, street lights. The green is one of the other ad brothers talk about, right? But if you think about that company in particular, they know that, how you reach people is through local efforts.
Yeah.
Almost grassroots.
Grassroots, yeah.
So, they're going to put out bullshit or real shit depending on what actually gets them more ratings.
Right.
At the end of the day, they're no different than NBC, ABC, CBS, HBO, because those guys want viewers. If
right.
that means, and Fox, whatever. If they need people to believe in some fake bullshit, they're gonna put it out. It don't matter. And they have a particular interest around, from a political standpoint or whatever.
Yeah.
I will throw one thing in here that's very interesting about this, and it's very important, is the fact that they have data.
They do. They got a lot of data.
They have a lot of data, and we talk about data all the time on the pod, but they're connecting with a certain group of people that I feel like this administration actually connected with
100%.
Right.
So, and that's why that administration is in office, because those people felt like this administration cared somewhat about their initiative.
Right.
And look who they're talking to. They're talking to, quote unquote, middle American white women of a certain age or, demographic, right? And those are the people who actually put Trump in office.
Exactly.
So yeah,
that's why I thought it was so. That's why I thought Anchorman 2 was such a good
very
movie,
much so,
because if you see Anchorman 2, it's like the establishing of 24-hour news and how they started making up news. That's why I thought it was so great. I mean, the comedy was whatever, but the message behind the movie was good.
Everything else, bro. It's all made up. I mean, I hate to say it, but the ideal of fake news, this is the Panthers been talking about this.
It's all fake.
This is nothing new. It's just amazing that we have a president who's taking something that we as black people have often said that don't believe in the shit you see on TV. He's taking it and run with it. Yet, he understands the power of TV, and he used TV to reach his audience, to Rose's point of view. That is real.
Yo, that's true. All right. Yo, man, that's a great way to end it. Episode 7.
Salute.
Tune in for the next one.
No soft talk when it comes to telling the truth.
Like that.
Peace. Like that. Peace.